Well, hi there. So in this video, we're going to do some practice, extra practice related to oligopoly. We're going to start with an amazing set of payoff matrices that were designed by the St. Louis Federal Reserve, and then we're going to switch over and do some multiple choice. Let's get started. Okay, so as I said, I did not design these. These came from a wonderful person who works at the St. Louis Federal Reserve in their education department, and she put these questions together thinking that maybe it might pique some of your interest. I don't know, maybe we'll see. So we've got these two individuals, Scooter and Taylor, and it sounds like Taylor is a recording artist and Scooter is some sort of sketchy fellow who owns the rights to Taylor's album, and that's very sad for her. Scooter can sell or keep the rights while Taylor could re-record the album and maybe get some more money. These are payoffs. So this is the amount of money they are earning. And so we would say that if Taylor decides to re-record the album, Reputation, I think is what it's called, then Scooter could earn 15 million by selling Reputation, or by keeping the original album, he might only earn 10 because everybody's going to buy the new version anyways. So if she re-records it, he's going to sell it. But if Taylor doesn't re-record it, he's going to make bank on keeping this, right? $150 million versus $100 million from selling it. And so he would keep it if she decides not to re-record it. So he doesn't have a dominant strategy. Now let's take a look at what Taylor's, though. Taylor, if she thinks that Scooter's going to sell, well, she can make $300 million by re-recording it, or 5 by not. So she's obviously going to re-record. And if Scooter decides to keep it, well, she could re-record it and get $400 million, or do nothing and get 5. She's obviously going to re-record. Obviously, Taylor's dominant strategy is to re-record the album. Re-record, we would want to say maybe why, and so because we would say 400 is bigger than 5, and 300 is bigger than 5, because I guess she wasn't getting much money when Scooter owned the rights. Identify the Nash, if any. Well, there is a Nash, it's here, and so it would be Scooter sell, and what is that? Taylor re-record, right? Well, we knew that because she has a dominant strategy, re-record. And so she does end up re-recording that album. Now, here we have two streaming services, must decide whether to lower or maintain their subscription prices after a hugely popular musician drops a newly re-recorded album. Could be maybe the other one. We've got Spotify, we've got iTunes. They could lower, they could maintain. Let's go ahead and solve this bad boy anyways. If Spotify lowers their price, well, iTunes is going to lower because they're like, oh no, we're going to lower too. If Spotify maintains, though, iTunes will 105 or 160, they'll maintain. And if Spotify thinks that iTunes is going to lower, well, they could lower and get 115, or they could maintain and get 120. So they are going to maintain in that case. And if Spotify thinks iTunes is going to maintain, Spotify could lower and get 105, or maintain and get 190. And so they both have a dominant, or they both, neither of them, or slow down, gloss. iTunes does not have a dominant strategy, but Spotify does. Spotify will always maintain. And so they do have a Nash equilibrium down here, 160, 190. That's where they end up if they don't cooperate. So we're going to put that Nash, right? And so iTunes makes how much? 160, and maintain there makes 190. If the two companies, though, agreed to cooperate, what would they pick? Well, let's kind of think about this from this perspective. We've got 250 as our total here, and here we have way more than that. And so we know that in that case, we would say that iTunes would maintain, and they would earn 160. They would earn 160. And again, that's because the sum of this box, which is 350, is the biggest of all of those four outcomes. And so we would say that here, this box allows them to actually maintain and get the largest amount. Let's take a look at the third problem that they made for us. Travis and Jason, many companies want to hire these two bozos, whoever they are, I don't know, maybe, who knows, we'll see, to star in commercials. Both must decide whether to raise their appearance fees or maintain them. And so let's see how much money they make. If Travis maintains and Jason looks at it, he could get $1 million by maintaining or lowering, you get 1.2. So he's going to lower and get 1.2. But if Travis ends up lowering, then Jason could maintain and get 4 or 600. He was going to prefer 600. So Jason's going to lower his fee. Now let's take a look from Travis. Well, Travis could maintain in that case and get 300, or lower and get 700. So that's what he does. And then Travis, if he thinks Jason's going to maintain, he get 1 million or 1.3. And so he will do that. So they'll both lower if they do not cooperate, right? And so Jason would earn 600,000 in that case. That's from that box. Suppose Jason agrees to pay Travis $500,000 if Travis maintains. Now this is a tricky payoff matrix, because what we're going to do is subtract from one and add to the other. And this is actually one of the hardest types of problems that you're going to see with oligopoly is where one pays the other one. And because one is paying the other, you're going to have to add to one and subtract from the other. And so if Jason is paying Travis, if Travis maintains. So if Travis maintains, then Jason's going to pay him money. And so that's going to mean that Jason ends up with 500,000 and Travis ends up with 1.5 million in that case. So that's an important distinction here. Normally we talk about it how like, well, this one we would add to, but that's not what's going on. This one's paying this one. So it's kind of shifting some of the money over. The total in the box is going to stay the same. Now here, Travis is maintaining, so he's going to get paid. And so that's going to become 800,000. But this 1.2 million has got to drop down to 700,000 to accommodate that, because he is transferring money over to Travis. Now, Travis isn't maintaining on this side, so Travis's numbers are going to stay the same over here, 1.3 million, 700K, and Jason's numbers are likewise going to stay the same, 400K and 600K. And now let's see if that changed any of this here, right? Ignoring kind of any of these things. Well, we know that here 700 beats 500, 600 beats 400. Now Travis is going to maintain. 1.5 is bigger than 1.3. And Travis maintaining here. So now Travis, instead of being lower, he's going to maintain. And looky here what happens, 700 and 800,000. Now, think about it for a second here. Ignoring antitrust considerations, should Jason and Travis make this agreement? Or should they make a different agreement? Explain with numbers from the matrix. And so you're kind of looking at it for a second here, and it's like, well, this and this, right? This is where they would end up. This is where they did end up. And we would actually say that, yeah, they would both end up making that agreement, right? We would say, yes. And one way to think about it here is that it's kind of shifting them over into the lower maintain box. Now, you could say a different agreement, right? Maybe they want to agree to 1.1 or sorry, 1.1. Another way to look at this even is that this one's even better than some of these, right? This is 1.5, this one's 1.7, this is 1.3. So this is the worst box for them, but this is the best one, is 2.2, right? Or sorry, 2 million total. And so this one here is actually going to be ending up the one that actually provides them with the most money is maintain. But it looks like here in that circumstance that there's no way that we're going to be able to get into that box. Now, I think the way that kind of this question's written is a little bit hard to answer. And I'm going to be totally honest and say I love the Federal Reserve for putting these things together, but I don't know that that would be the kind of question that you'd actually end up getting here. So, where we said a different agreement, if they could find an agreement to get them to maintain, they would. But for right now, yes, because both increased their payoffs is going to be my answer. And it does say with numbers. So Jason went from 600 to 700. And we would say that Travis went from 700 to 800. Whoops, I almost wrote Jason again. Travis went from 700 to 800. Or an agreement to both maintain. Now, if they could both agree to maintain and split it, then actually they would both be better off, right? This would be the superior option, because in this one, they're clearly making the most money, right? 1 million and 1 million. So if Jason could just look at Travis and be like, listen, man, I consider you to be, we're close. You're like a brother to me. Could we maybe find a way for like 250,000? If he could find his way to doing it for 250,000, 300,001 maybe. Anything here, the problem's going to be is that it's going to have to convince Travis to not earn 1.3. So it's got to be something to get him over here. To get that 1 million. So it's got to be more than $300,000. But if he pays him $300,000, then he's left with 700. And so that ends up being the same option here. So maybe if they could just like agree to both maintain, that would be obviously an unstable, collusive outcome, but they could maybe do it. So, all right, let's take a look at some of these multiple choice. These are a little bit more realistic of these problems and get away from Travis and Jason. Number one, when two firms interact in an oligopolistic market, which is true. If one firm has a dominant strategy and the other firm does not, that's not necessarily true. If one firm has it, then the other one does it. No, that's not true. Both firms have it. No, that's not true. If one firm has it, then there is no Nash. That's not true. There can be a Nash with one. If both firms have it, then there is a Nash. That one has to be true. E is a true statement. A cartel is difficult to maintain for which of the following reasons. So in class, we did a simulation with this where we showed that each member of the cartel has an incentive to cheat, right, to undercut their competitors. And so that would be individual cartel members are tempted to cheat on the agreement, B. Number 3, assuming both firms know the information, which the following directly describes the dominant strategy of each firm. So we're going to quickly solve this one here. 120 and 70. So they both do not raise. And so alpha and beta do not raise. Okay. Number 4, interdependence among firms is a characteristic of oligopoly. That's kind of a gimme question on an oligopoly topic. Number 5, the cartel model of oligopoly predicts that all the cart firms act in unison to set a monopoly price. That is true. I want to check these other ones to be sure, but I do think that that's going to end up being our answer. B, each producer acts independently. No, they work together. C, they follow the low-cost price firm in the industry. Not always. They sometimes agree to set high prices. That's probably what they should do. Differences in the cost of production discourage individual firms from cheating. No, it actually encourages it. And E, the markup on marginal cost should be the same for all firms. It's not necessarily going to be the case either. A is the right answer for a cartel. They're trying to work as a monopoly. Let's take a look at number 6. Based on the payoff matrix, which the following is correct. So we're going to solve this one real quick here. 7, 5, 4, and 2. And firm A always gets a smaller share of the industry profits. That's not always true. I'm just reading it. 7 is smaller than 1, yeah, so 7 smaller than 1, so A can't be true. B, firm A's dominant strategy is to advertise. That is true. They will always advertise. I don't know why my brain just like short-circuited just right there. It just sure did though. Because in this box, when firm B is advertising, then firm A earns 7 over 3, and if firm B does not advertise, 5 is bigger than 2, so B is the right answer. Number 7, the combination where firm A advertises and firm B does not is over here. That's the Nash, because it's best for each firm given what the other firm has chosen. Sure. B, the total industry profits are maximized. That's not why it's a Nash. C, firm A has an incentive to change its strategy. No, that would be the wrong thing, because an incentive to change would mean it's not a Nash, right? A Nash is like a stable state outcome of the game. And so this is going to be kind of probably, I think, our right answer. D, it's the best outcome for B, regardless of what firm A does. That's not necessarily what a Nash means. E, advertising is always the best strategy for firm A. Again, that's not why this is a Nash, right? This is actually why this is a Nash. It's like, given what the other person did, I'm going to act selfishly and independently, and we're both going to do the selfish thing, the thing that's best for us, given what the other person does. That's what a Nash equilibrium is. And neither of us is going to deviate from that choice so long as the other person continually chooses the prior option. 8, game theory is used to explain strategic behavior of firms in an oligopoly. C. Number 9, Dave's Den, Rover's Rest. Which of the following is the Nash? So let's solve this. 7, 9, 5, 8. Dave's no ads, Rover's run. Dave's chooses run ads. Rover's Rest chooses, Dave's chooses no ads. Rover's chooses run ads. D is the right answer here. Again, that's because we're in this box. So that's Dave's no ads and Rover's is run. And 10, the advertising agency raises its prices, causing the firm that chooses to run ads to earn $200 less in profits. So this one is still going with 4.3C. Once the firms adjust, what's the total combined profit of the two firms? So the advertising firm is going to subtract $200 from these. So we're going to say 300. And I'm just taking these numbers and subtracting 200. And then here, the 700 stays the same. And the 800 becomes 600. And then the 400 becomes 200, the 500 stays the same, and then both of these boxes stay the same. And so run, not, So now 700, 900, 500, 700, they're not going to run any ads. The total combined profit would be $1,600. So sometimes you do have to do these kind of on the fly really quick here, but hopefully it's not too bad. They don't usually have the kind where you have to switch money from one group to the other to be able to do that. So hopefully this helped you doing a little bit of oligopoly extra practice. I'll see you next time.